but sharp men with some edges. If you get close to us, you're going to get cut. You're going to get stabbed because you know where we stand. Our beliefs, our values, our traditions are sharp and edgy, and you know where we stand. Gentlemen, what's going on? Another great day to be a better man. Even a broken clock is right 2 times a day, right? I want you to think about that. Are you, or have you ever been, or have you witnessed anyone around you just being that clock, a wound up clock? Time's off when it needs to, sounds off the alarm when it needs to. That's what society has become. A bunch of well-sounding, wound-up clocks, wound up by the conditions and the agenda of society, the environment, those around them, those that condition them with this perceptions. This is what you say. This is how you dress. This is how you look. This is how you act. This is how you think. This is the career you go on. And we see a bunch of wound up clocks sounding off the right time according to the agenda of those around them. And I don't want to be a wound up clock. I don't want to be an instrument for anyone else's agenda. We become these well-polished machines. A herd of sheep, if you will, just falling in line, going along this path and this trail that has been laid out before us. And it's fine for some people. But for me, for you, that's not our calling. That's not the invitation that we've heard deep within us that says, be something more, be better, be stronger, be able, be capable. And so I think it's time that we become these sharp men, not these well-polished, wound-up clocks of society, but sharp men with some edges. If you get close to us, you're going to get cut. You're going to get stabbed because you know where we stand. Our beliefs, our values, our traditions are sharp and edgy, and you know where we stand. You know who we are. You know what we're about. And we're a little bit different. We're a different breed than the herd sheep of society. And that's what we need to become, these sharp men that stand on our own values, that create our own path, where nobody can look at our lives and connect us with mediocrity. There's no bridge to average. Someone looks at our life and they say, man, that guy's doing something. He stands for something. He's different. Not in a bad way. I've been there, but I want to be an example in a good way. We burn the bridges to average, and we begin to adopt this mindset that says, I'm going to be something more. I'm going to push myself. And maybe that's intellectually. I'm going to start learning something. I'm going to be dedicated. I'm going to read a book a week. I'm going to learn. I'm going to just nourish and nurture myself with education and this intellectual capacity to be more. Or maybe it's physical. I'm going to push my body to the brink. I'm going to lose that 20 pounds. I'm going to go to the gym and transform myself, where people look at your life and say, man, I want what he has. He's pushing the boundaries. He's pushing the limits. He's not this wound up clock that eats fast food 20 times a week and watches 30 hours of Netflix, just becoming this obese vegetable like the rest of the world. That wound up clock that sounds off the consumeristic time. Oh, it's time to buy the next new shiny object. Oh, it's time to watch the news and buy into their ideology and their false perceptions and to be led astray from her true path. I want to become that sharper, strong, solar-minded man that looks above that field of average. And in doing so, we've got to find something. We've got to dedicate ourselves to a cause. And that's what it takes. The rest of the world's average. They're fine with getting by. Hell, it only takes a little bit. Push yourself a little bit above average, and we set ourselves apart. No one's reading a book a week. No one's pushing themselves physically to go the extra mile. No one's forgoing the fast food junk. Look at the rest of the world. We're lazy vegetable slobs. It doesn't take much to separate yourself from the average, to become that sharp man where people know where you stand. We set our values. We set our intellectual values. We set our physical values. We set our direction according to what we know we're capable of, not what we're told. We're not that clock that sounds off according to what society would have us believe and buy into. We're creating our own way. And in doing so, we begin to construct that inner monument within us that leads us to stand upright. And people take notice, man. And we begin to leave a legacy. where people know, hey, that's something to hold in esteem, and that's something to aspire to be. That guy really lived out something greater than average. He went the extra mile. He was this sharp man that was edgy, and you knew where he stood. He spoke his mind. He said what was on his mind, and he backed it up with his actions. And that's what I want to become. For too long, even without knowing, I just fell in line, and I was that clock sounding off the time of the environment around me that really didn't have my best interest at heart. Sovereignty, individual sovereignty, where we have absolute power over our own lives. We're all capable of having it, but we have to put in the work. And sometimes that means dying to the old perceptions. And that's tough, man, to give up what you've known and give up what you've grown up accustomed to. It's difficult to give that up and release that. But in order to become a better person and move forward, sometimes the old ideas, the old patterns, the old habits, they have to die. That was the polished man that sounded off the time for someone else. We want to create our own time, our own values, our own path. We burn the bridges to mediocrity. We can never be linked to average because people see us putting in the work. In whatever area that is, wherever you want to excel and become superior, put in the work. Be dedicated to that. Become that sharp man that people take notice and say, yeah, I know where he stands and I want what he has. We don't sound the time of average. We don't sound the time to society's agenda. We create our own path. We create our own time. We create our own value. In essence, we march to a different beat, a different drum beat, and that becomes our heart, our nature. I love you guys. Man, become sharp, become edgy, become that person where people take notice and say, that dude's doing something. You guys will hear from me next episode.